Hello, and it's good to have you join us again on Maritime Radar. Shipbuilding and repairs, an ancient craft that symbolizes a blend of artistry and science, have played a crucial role in human history. From the primitive logs to the majestic wooden galleys of civilization, the evolution of vessels reflects mankind's mastery of the sea. In Nigeria, shipbuilding is gradually being positioned as a sector to watch out for in driving economic growth and national transformation, which of course reflects the global trend. The shipping industry is not only pivotal for international trade, but also a catalyst for economic potential and holds the key to Nigeria's development if it gets the right attention and investment. How the Nigerian Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy will harness the potentials in the shipbuilding, repairs and recycling are some of the issues that will be on the front burner on today's show. I'm Norma Obiaswam. Developing the shipbuilding and repair sector in Nigeria represents largely a transformative opportunity, considering her vast coastline, strategic location, and commitment make it well suited for development. To harness the potential of this maritime sector, economic opportunities, benefits to national security, local content development, environmental sustainability, infrastructural development, and export potential all underscore the value of investing in shipbuilding and repairs. To unlock its potential, Nigeria must adopt a comprehensive approach encompassing policy and skill development, adding infrastructural investment, skill with international collaboration. By doing this, Nigeria can chart a course towards economic transformation, job creation, and a more secure maritime environment, ultimately improving the quality of life of its citizens and becoming a maritime powerhouse in West Africa and beyond. Before we get further into today's lineup on the program, let's find out the latest in maritime news.
The National Association of Government-Approved Freight Forwarders, NAGAF, has called on the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adegboyega Oyetola, to take urgent steps to revamp the Council for the Regulation of Freight Forwarding in Nigeria and enforce the Cabotage Act to curb foreign dominance in the sector. The call came during a courtesy visit by the Federal Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy to the association in Lagos. The minister disclosed that the purpose of the engagement was aimed at addressing the challenges faced by freight forwarding practitioners in line with international best practices. Oyetola, represented by the Director of Training at the ministry, Solomon Zaks, assured the freight forwarders that the ministry will prioritize capacity building through the council, adding that issues would be addressed holistically. The NAGAF founder, Boniface Anebunam, urged the minister to directly engage with freight forwarders to resolve key industry concerns, expressing his disappointment over the council's failure to fully implement its statutory roles. Maritime authorities and rescue coordination centers in the southern Red Sea and Gulf of Aden are working to strengthen regional coordination and boost their search and rescue capabilities with support from the International Maritime Organization. A regional search and rescue workshop in Mombasa, Kenya, focused on enhancing maritime safety and security in the region, with participants sharing experiences, challenges, and best practices. Discussions covered the latest developments in procedures, techniques, and equipment, including recent amendments to regulations related to modernizing the global maritime distress and safety system and the recognition of new mobile satellite services. The activity was delivered as part of the EU-funded regional program for maritime security in the Red Sea area. Under the project, the IMO works with the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, the International Criminal Police Organization Interpol, and the Intergovernmental Authority on Development to support participating countries of Djibouti, Ethiopia, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Maritime Radar. In Nigeria, shipbuilding and repairs should be a pivotal sector around which the broader maritime industry revolves. Shipyards equipped with dry docks and fabrication facilities serve as industry hubs, engaging in ship construction, repair, conversion, alteration, and producing ships and barge sections. Their impact extends to manufacturing and support facilities, nurturing sectors like shipping, fisheries, oil and gas, port operations, tourism, and job creation. Shipbuilding is not just a sector, it is an economic powerhouse with a potential for national development. In this chat with Oluseyi Oluyede, Managing Director, Niger Benue Transport Company Limited, shares on how shipbuilding and repairs can be positioned as a tool for national transformation. Please stay with us. That is good to have you join us on the show.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about Nigeria's shipbuilding and repairs. Looking at the industry's huge potential, how will you say it has fared? Viewing it from the lens of that it should be an economic powerhouse.
Well, just like you said, I'll be answering this question looking at the huge potential in the shipbuilding and ship repair industry, because it's still at its infancy in Nigeria. But according to the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, Nigeria is the largest ship owning country in Africa, ranking 33rd globally, with 291 vessels, totaling 7.94 million deadweight. In terms of shipyards, we currently have 10 shipyards in Nigeria, with 6 being operational. With that, there is a maximum capacity of 25,000 tons. And in 2024, it was predicted that the compound annual growth rate of the industry, that's the shipbuilding industry, would be at 3.8%, translating into $83.9 million. Having said that, one could see the huge potentials, because in 2024 thereabout, the maritime trade accounted for 50% of the international trade that was carried out within country. So I believe there are huge potentials in the Nigerian shipbuilding and ship repair industry, and even in the maritime industry as a whole.
Okay, looking at Nigeria, we are import dependent. That shows there's a big market for us, and we must participate in the shipping industry. So what are the challenges that you see that is confronting the sector, and what practical solutions do you want to profile to ensure that growth, and we tap into the potentials that you've mentioned earlier?
Well, there's quite a number of challenges affecting this industry at this time, because, like I said initially, it's at its infancy stage. There is definitely limited local capacity and infrastructure. We have very few operational yards with limited capacity to handle large-size vessels. And even the existing shipyards need modern technology, automation, and the likes to enhance efficiency in their output. So there's that challenge of limited local capacity. Definitely expansion is needed in that area. Another limitation, another challenge is huge operational cost. The raw materials that are needed for shipbuilding have to be sourced, and this is at huge cost. The importation, the inflationary pressure, and logistics generally is quite expensive, especially with the value of the naira that has depreciated. So you have those challenges as well, in addition to import duties and the likes. So that's another challenge that is affecting this industry. The third one would be skilled labor, skilled manpower, because there's a prerequisite manpower that is required for the shipbuilding and ship repair industry. You need huge expertise to be able to function very well in that industry. And really, there's a huge reliance on foreign expertise, and this would increase cost and increase general overhead and reduce local participation. So that challenge is there as well. Another challenge we see is in terms of government policies. Now, especially regarding this subsector, there's so much said about government policies regarding cabotage and all of that. But you see, there is this microcosm of the maritime industry, which is the shipbuilding and the ship repair, which government policies need to be implemented. The ones that have been, the existing ones need to be implemented and have to be encouraged. Because like I said, it's in the infancy stage. So there should be laws that would protect that industry and encourage it to grow, So you have such challenges. And really, most companies, most maritime companies prefer to import, to buy their vessels from different countries, Asia and all. We think it's important that laws are enacted to ensure that even the ones that can be built locally are being domiciled in country. So that is a major challenge, because when you have an industry, but then there's also competition with the other countries that have the technology, So that's a challenge in a way.
In this conversation, you've been able to establish that it's important that we develop this industry. So what do you want to be done? What can be done exactly to ensure that we tap into this important industry?
Okay, one of the things that I would say that can be done in terms of capacity building and expansion is for there to be some form of public-private partnership, because the shipbuilding and ship repair industry is capital intensive. There's a lot of growth that is needed. So there is need for that private partnership and public partnership cooperation between the governments, the PPP. You also need in terms of technological advancement, where governments can even help with countries that have developed shipbuilding industries to foster collaborations where they can exchange technology, exchange ideas. Those are things that we can see in terms of capacity building and expansion. And also, we could have what you call specialized clusters. In some countries, you have distinct shipyards who are majorly for small vessels. You have some that are majorly for military vessels, and you have some that are for oil installations. So when you have such clusters, it gives diversification and helps the industry to grow. Another important thing that I think should be considered is in terms of tax relief and import duties. Everything that is being used in this industry most of the things anyway, have to be imported. If it's being used for the development of the industry, there should be some tax concessions that should be given. There should be some import duty waivers that should be aligned. I know in terms of local content, the NCDMB is trying on that ham, but in terms of patronage, we also have to ensure that the companies that hold vessels in country patronize the shipyards that are local, because that gives them market share, at least for the capacity that is available in country. That would give an edge in that regard. So I think those are things that can be done in country. Now to come to training and capacity building, I mentioned that there's shortage of skilled labor. We need to strengthen our institutions. Places like Man should offer specialized courses in ship design, engineering, and repairs. Those are specialized courses that need to be introduced into the curriculum of our higher institutions. Things like apprenticeship programs and internship programs should be introduced so that you have transfer of knowledge from an aging population to the newer generations. So these are things that could be put in place to ensure that there's that growth within that industry. These are practical ways that the industries can grow And again, coming back to government, I think the government should develop what I would call a national shipbuilding policy or a shipbuilding development plan. We've seen that happen in Korea. We see the intentionality of Singapore in this regard. We also see the intentionality of places like Malaysia and Indonesia in building up those industries. So these are just a few highlights of things that government can do, a few things that policy can help enhance to bring up the ship repair and the shipbuilding industry.
Okay, in this conversation, you've been able to establish that developing this industry is very important, especially it will help create employment, it will help generate gross domestic product, it will also help us grow local manufacturing industries. So what do you think is the missing link, and why do you think government is not making the right investment in this industry? But let us take this question after this short break. Please stay with us.
Africa needs its own storytellers, people who understand the continent because they're from it. People who know that news is more than just a conversation starter, it's our stories. Because these stories run deeper than headlines and segments. It's about digging deeper to get the facts and telling the human side of every single story, not just the echoes from foreign headlines and perspectives. It's time to take back our narratives and share them in our voices. The birth of Africa's New Age reporting, and this is where it begins, right here at News Central TV, with stories that put Africa first.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Maritime Radio, and I still have with me Oluseyi Oluyede. She is the Managing Director, Niger Benue Transport Company Limited. Before we went on that break, we were talking about the importance of shipbuilding and repairs in Nigeria and the impact it could make. So impact is numerous, looking at it could create employment, generate gross domestic product, and also help us ensure that local manufacturers grow. So why do you think government is not making the right investment into this? Because we could also move away from Nigeria and also tap into business from other West African countries.
Well, I'm not sure that. Well, let me put it this way. I think government is trying to make some form of investment, but they are not making adequate. And in looking at this, I always like to compare Nigeria, which is a developing country, with the likes of other developing countries. So in this scenario, I would take up Malaysia and Indonesia. Now, we are in the same categories. The shipbuilding and ship repair industry in Malaysia creates 40,000 plus jobs directly and indirectly. In Indonesia, it creates about 100,000 jobs. What can Nigeria do? We need to increase training. Like I said initially, we need to institutionalize some courses in some of our institutions, in institutions of higher learning. Look at ways that we can pass on expertise through the apprenticeship program and all that, so that people begin to learn, they begin to get conscious of things like that. And it's deliberate. It takes a deliberate effort to be able to bring up industries such as this. Another thing we can look at in terms of revenue generation, in terms of gross domestic product, is encourage development. Encourage its development. Ensure that most of the things that are being used are sourced locally. For example, steel is very important in the shipbuilding industry. Yes, we have a steel company in Nigeria, which is the Ajaokuta Steel Company, but we don't know what is going on. We have the Delta Steel. We don't really know what is going on. So and of course, importing steel is very, very expensive. So government has to put in measures to see that these industries begin to work or get it viable. But while that is being done, there are some waivers that needs to be given for things, marine equipment, shipyard infrastructure, and things like that. It's very important that those kind of things are looked into in terms of what Nigeria needs to do. We need to revitalize our steel industries and do some form of, to an extent, encourage manufacturers in country by giving tax concessions, by giving incentives for them to be able to do that. So we need to just really accelerate things in country for the growth of this industry.
Okay, the shipbuilding industry has the capacity to unlock export potential. Do you agree with that? If yes, how?
Absolutely, I do agree with that. Currently, it is said that there are about 5,000 vessels operating in Nigerian waters. So most of them go outside the country for maintenance. For us to be able to harness this, we need to enforce our cabotage laws. Cabotage in terms of the vessels that can be repaired in country. It should be encouraged that the vessel owners repair them in country. And for such vessel owners, they can be rewarded with tax concessions. It's a motivation for them to stay in country, to be able to repair these vessels in companies that have the capacity to repair them. But for where the capacity is not available in country, that is understandable. So tax breaks could be provided to these ship owners as a source of motivation for them to do this. We can also create regional hubs around West Africa, and competitive pricing. Look at what we can do within the West African hub and develop the capacity in country to see that the industry grows, to see that the industry is protected, to see that we leverage on what we have within West Africa. Like I said, Nigeria, according to UNITAD, is ranked the highest ship owning country in Africa. So we should be able to leverage on this and leverage well on it.
Yeah, okay, before I let you go, it's International Women's Day Accelerate Action. How do we practically mentor and bridge the gender gap in a male-dominated maritime industry?
Well, I always like to look at this issue in terms of gender as value addition. The value addition in terms of gender is bringing value to the table. It's good for economic growth and industry sustainability. I think the practical ways that we can encourage the female gender in this is to establish a structured mentorship program. And when I say structured mentorship program, the female gender can also be mentored by even the male professionals who are also in the industry, so they can grow. And they can be mentored in terms of shipbuilding, in technical expertise, port operations, naval architecture. Those are areas that they can be mentored and we can bridge the gap, both for the female professionals, female professionals and male professionals. I also believe that companies should offer hands-on expertise, hands-on training, so that these people, these ladies, these young professionals get to learn hands-on in the technical aspects of the job. You will have things like online mentoring platform in this day and age where technology has made life very easy. Online mentoring would become very adequate, at things like this. Another thing is to have gender inclusive recruitment. Put the cards all out at the table. Let the female person also come and see that, look, I can do this. Let there be equality in recruitment. Let people bring the value. Anybody that can bring the value to the table, let them be offered a chance on the table. So I also believe that even when the chance is being offered, There should be encouragement for career growth. There shouldn't be stagnancy at any level because of the peculiarity of the girl child, of the female gender. There are some things that are very peculiar to us, but then everything should be offered at the table. The program should be made fair and open. So that those are ways that I think we can mentor and accelerate the growth in the industry.
I hope this conversation will bring to fore the need for government to really look into the industry of shipbuilding and repairs if our indigenous shipping must thrive. I must thank you for your time and your thoughts on the show. It's been Olusheyi Oluyede. She is the Managing Director, Niger Benue Transport Company Limited. Many thanks for your time and your thoughts on the show.
Thank you.
And that's our show this week. Join us every week on Maritime Radio as we explore potentials that will ensure the development of the maritime sector in Africa. You can also expect the latest in global and local maritime news, plus industry insights right here. I am Norma Obiaswalo. Many thanks for your time and see you again next week.